So you finished your interview, right? And the interviewer asks you, "Do you have any questions for us?" And you're looking. I mean, so this is the point where a lot of persons get stuck during interviews. The hiring manager is asking you, "What questions do you have for us?" And you don't have any questions, right? So if you're struggling about that, this video is for you. So you might just want to stick around to the end so that I'll be sharing 25 different questions that you can ask your recruiting manager about the company you want to work for. So if you're new here, my name is Dr. Ron. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber or listener, I guess you already know me and I talk about everything healthcare on this channel. And today I'll be discussing about 25 questions that you can ask a recruiting manager about the company you're going to work for. So that being said, let's dive into the conversation. Now, I mean, a lot of people get stuck during interviews at the point where they ask them, "Do you have any questions for us?" And everybody's looking. So if it doesn't make sense if you don't have any reasonable question to ask your interviewer or recruiting manager, because that sort of, I think it gives it like a negative vibe as to, I mean, this guy hasn't done his or her homework before coming for this interview and all of that. So you should always be prepared with like one, two, three questions that you want to ask the recruiting manager or interviewer after they are done asking you the question. But before I get into the questions, right, first of all, I keep saying this: you need to research the company you're going to work for. Either it's a company or it's a hospital or is a trust. For those in the UK, you need to research them. What's the history? What are their services? What do they do? What's the company culture like? What's their strategy? I mean, read some of their reports, AGM, and all of that to get a good grasp of what the organization is all about. So that way you're more informed as to the kind of questions you want to find out or you want to ask from them, or the information you want to elicit from them. So always do your homework or your background check before you land in the interview. So that being said, so the first question is, I mean, this is in no particular order, and you can still do more research about different questions you can add, but these are some of the ones that I've really come up with and talk about. So the first one is, what is the company culture like and how does it contribute to the success of the organization? I mean, you're getting into a company, you're coming from somewhere different, so you need to understand what the company culture like. It's like, is it something that you would fit into or you don't fit into? Because for me, an interview is just an opportunity for an interviewer to find out if you're a great fit and for you to find out if the company is a great fit for you. So it's a two-way thing. It's never a one-way process. So you want to find out what the company culture looks like and how it affects the success of the organization. Then the second question, which is like one of my favorites, what are the opportunities for growth and development available for employees in the company? So you getting into a new company, you want to know what your growth trajectory is going to look like. I mean, what are the options available? Am I going to get promoted? What's the timeline? What will be required for me? Are there support systems for you to, get relevant certifications or qualifications as you go on the job and all of that? So you want to know that, because if you're a growth-minded person who is interested in, not remaining stagnant for a long time, it's important you ask this question. Then can you tell me about the team I'll be working with or the people I'll be working with? This is important, because when you talk about teamwork, you want to know who you're working with, how do they work, who is going to be your line manager, what is their mode of working, is it remote, is it hybrid, is everybody going to be in the office and all of that. So you want to know who and who you want to be working with, or yeah. Then how does the company support diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace? So this is a key question, especially for those of you guys who want to leave the country, probably work in places like UK or the Canada or America and all of that. So you're asking questions around diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace, right? Then the next one is, what qualities are you looking for in a candidate in this position? You know, so they will usually tell you the kind of person they are looking for and all of that. So so it also gives you an insight. I mean, if you become successful, as to the kind of person they are looking for. So that helps you inform, you know, your behavior, or allows you fit better into the system because you now understand the kind of person they are looking for. Then what's another question is, what challenges can I expect to face in this role, and how will the company support me in overcoming them? This is very important. I mean, for every role, there are bound to be challenges in every role. So it's good to, sort of anticipate what some of these challenges, and what are the steps or the measures that have been put in place to support you to overcome these challenges. Are there trainings available? Is somebody going to, train you for the first 2 weeks or 1 month that you're on the job, to make sure you learn quicker and, easily? Is that available? How often am I going to go for trainings to make my job easier and all of that? So you want to find out if all of those things are available. Then you can also ask, how does a company measure success and evaluate the performance of its employees? So so like the KPIs, I know every job role usually has KPIs for different roles. So you want to find out, how am I going to be graded? How am I going to be evaluated? What are the metrics? How often am I doing the appraisal? What are they looking out for? So you want to be well prepared ahead of that. Then how does the company stay current in its industry and stay competitive? So this is also important because, as somebody who's probably growth minded, if you're the company you're working for, or the hospital or clinic or facility you're working for, is not does not have a mechanism or a structure in place to stay competitive, that means very soon they'll be out of business. And if they're out of business, you're automatically out of a job, right? So you're also thinking about that, asking, so how do we stay competitive in the industry? What are we doing? Are we researching? Who are our competitors? Are we keeping, what are they doing? So you want to know that. Then you can also ask, how does the company handle remote work and flexible scheduling? Remote work has come to stay, really, and thanks to COVID-19, even though a couple of companies are beginning to, go back to full office work, but a lot of people are sticking to the hybrid model. So you want to find out, how does it work? So if you're allowed to work remotely, what are the structures being put in place? Are you going to get a desktop? Are you going to get a monitor? Are you going to get laptop, Wi-Fi, and all of that? What kind of supports are available to help you, work effectively from your home or remotely? Are you able to, switch, or flexible scheduling? To be work flexibly, is that available in the company? Because again, you might be thinking from the family perspective. You've probably got kids and all of that, so you want to figure all that out. So another good question is, how does a company handle employee feedback and handle employee concerns, right? So this one is also important. You want to find out, is your company a vindictive one, in the sense that they are not open to employee feedback or criticisms as how maybe the place is run, or maybe the welfare and all of that. You want to know that, because if, for example, you're somebody who is used to, having his or her voice heard, or I mean just having an opportunity to, express your own opinion or what you think about certain issues, that goes a long way. At least you feel being heard in the organization, because there are some organizations this doesn't exist. Employees can talk. It's like a top-down approach all the way. It's just from orders come from top, execute at the bottom, and all of that. So employees don't have feedback. So if you're somebody who is used to, giving feedback or being in meetings from where you're coming from, this is really going to be important to you, right? Then you can also ask, how does the company prioritize work and handle conflicting priorities? Very important. You can ask, how does the company foster collaboration and teamwork among employees? How does the company handle employee performance, and how do they address areas for improvement? What do they do for you? Then, what's the company's approach to work-life balance? What measures do they put in place? Are there away days? Are there team hangout sessions? Things like that. Are they available, right? Then, what are the benefits the company is going to offer you as an employee? You want to know what you're entitled to. Does it make sense or does it not make sense? I mean, you want to compare to where you're coming from or probably from different offers. I mean, workers should be well incentivized to do the work they do, and that's where the benefits come in. Then what are the company's policies on time off and vacation? You hear of companies where you go on vacation, you're not paid, or you go on time off, you're not paid. So you want to know all of those policies. Then I think I mentioned this before, but you can also access how does the company support professional development and training. So if you're growth minded, you want to always, stay on top of your game with, certifications, latest things happening in the industry. That means regular courses or certifications or conferences and all of that. So is your company, is your hospital, is your trust, is your facility going to support all of that, or are you going to fund it yourself? You want to know. Next one is can you tell me about the company's approach to diversity, equity, and inclusion in the recruiting and hiring processes? Is it transparent? That's what you're looking out for. How does the company support employees' advancement within the organization? So, is it possible for me to move roles? Can I become a manager in 1 year or 2 years? What are the timelines? You want to know all of that. Then, can you tell me about the company's approach to communication and transparency? How does the company handle conflict and issues within the workplace? Do they sack you immediately, or are you facing a disciplinary panel, or are you going to get a query? Or after how many queries are you going to get sacked? And you want to know all of that. Then, currently, with issues around climate change, environmental sustainability, a lot of companies are beginning to think in that direction. So you also want to find out what is the company's approach to sustainability and environmental responsibility. So, I mean, if it's a company that does production of chemicals or stuff like that, so how are they being environmentally responsible? You want to know. Then, how does the company handle employee recognition and rewards? I mean, employee rewards and recognition, I think for me is a very critical part of incentivizing your workforce. I mean, you should be able to recognize those who are working hard, those who are working extra hard, those who are going beyond the normal, putting the extra hours, going the extra mile really. So they should be recognized, they should be awarded or rewarded, or just recognition really. So that goes a long way. So is this something your company does or they don't do? Everybody just works as normal. So yeah, so these are some of the questions you can ask a recruiting manager during your interview. I mean, you're not going to ask all these questions, but I mean, like two or three is fine. And yeah, so that tells them you actually came prepared and you're a serious person. So you should always have these questions at the back of your mind. Or, I mean, there is no harm even writing it on a piece of paper to say, okay, you jotted a couple of questions to ask them. I remember during one of my interviews, after reading through, I went to the company website. I saw their strategy goals, their 5 year plans, and all of that. So I think some areas piqued my interest. So I jotted those down, and those were my questions for them during the interview. I was going through your strategy document, and I saw so, and so. How do you guys plan to do this? Because it wasn't, explicitly stated in the document how you were going to achieve this. Because I saw it was sort of conflicting with something else down the document, and they were really excited to shed more light on how they were going to do that, and it was an interesting conversation. So yeah, so and it might give you an edge really if you ask intelligent questions. I don't know, that's just what I think, right? So that's that for the questions you can ask any recruiting manager. And I don't, it's across industries really. It's not just for healthcare. I think you can apply it in other industries and get the answers you want and you move on. So yeah, that's that. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please don't leave without giving me a like, subscribing to the channel, and please share the channel with your friends, your families, your colleagues, whoever you can share to. If I share your WhatsApp status, your TikTok, and all of that, I mean, so that other persons can enjoy um the information I share on this channel. And until I come your way next episode, I still remain your host, Dr. Ron. Bye for now.